I'd like to call the regular board meeting of the St. Lucie County Transportation Planning Organization to order. And we will have roll call, please. You know what? If I could read the agenda where it says call to order and then Pledge of Allegiance, I would. So let's do the Pledge of Allegiance first. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. We'll now have the singing of the anthem by Krista. No, I'm kidding. We don't want to do that. Now,
No, you don't.
how about roll call?
Certainly.
No, you don't.
Commissioner Zadowski,
Here, ma'am.
Commissioner Hutchinson,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Johnson,
Present.
School Board Representative Kelly,
Present.
Vice Mayor Martin.
Here, ma'am.
Thank you. Commissioner Mitchell,
Yes, ma'am.
Community Transit Representative Pinckney,
Present.
Commissioner Townsend,
Yes, ma'am.
and Vice Chairwoman Morgan.
Yes, ma'am.
We have a quorum.
Thank you so much. Any comments from the public? And seeing none, I'll move on to the approval, comments from advisory committee members. Wow, short meeting, yes. Approval of the agenda,
Move approval.
Second.
moved and seconded. Any discussion? We can just do a voice vote, correct?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Approval of meeting summary, the minutes, April 7th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Sean and Kathy Townsend. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carried, unanimous. Consent agenda. Move approval? Anyone?
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Aha. On to 9A, Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan, and I'm going to kick it off to Peter.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. Good afternoon. At your last meeting, it was recommended the adoption of 3 transit performance targets. Actually, since let me start again. The county provided a public transportation agency safety plan back in December. And since then, they have revised the plan and have provided targets for the adoption by the TPO board. Now, we've taken this through the committees twice, with the first 3 targets being adopted and the final target being adopted with the revised plan. So here to present all the performance targets proposed to be adopted by the TPO is the TPO's Transit Program Manager, Marcia Lowden. Marcia.
Thank you, Peter. Madam Chair, members of the board, can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can. We hear you loud and clear.
Okay, thank you. So St. Lucie County is the transit agency, and it has developed safety performance targets, which it has shared with the TPO, and now we're going to coordinate on the TPO's safety performance targets for transit. And the 4 targets are fatalities, injuries, safety events, which could be a hazardous material spill, a collision, act of God, anything that requires evacuation of the bus. And system reliability, which is the distance between major mechanical failures. And so all of these occurrences have to be reported to the Federal Transit Administration. The county's safety performance targets, most of them are based on vehicle revenue miles. And this is the time that the bus is actually in service, picking up and dropping off passengers. So the fatalities, 0 per 100,000 vehicle revenue miles. Injuries, 1 per 100,000 vehicle revenue miles. Safety events, 2 per 100,000 vehicle revenue miles. And system reliability, more than 25,000 miles between major mechanical failures. And so the TPO's performance targets that we are proposing are identical to the county's performance targets. And the TPO advisory committees at their meetings last month recommended adoption of these TPO performance targets. And that concludes my presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Are there any questions? If none, I'll take a motion.
I'll motion to approve, and I want to say, Marcia, great job. We miss seeing your smiling, beautiful face.
Well, thank you so much.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
One moment.
Unless we can do voice.
You didn't, we did.
Is voice vote fine?
That's fine.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Yeah, like that easy. That's much quicker. And 9B, Transit Route Optimization Study Draft Choices Report.
Thank you,
Peter?
Madam Vice Chair and members of the board. We're going to keep it right here with Marcia again, who will introduce the next item.
Thank you, Peter. Madam Chair, members of the board. The Transit Route Optimization Study originated from the Transit Development Plan. And as you know, the TDP, as it's called, is the transit agency's strategic plan. One of the recommendations in the TDP was to conduct a comprehensive operations analysis. So the TPO's work program included the Transit Route Optimization Study, which will look at redesigning the bus network. Just to recap some of the factors that go into the design of a bus network: population density. Where do people live? Land use. Where do people want to go? Population characteristics. Where do people live who are most likely to use public transportation, such as seniors or low-income persons? System connectivity. How does one route connect with another to facilitate transfers, for example? And system efficiency, because all riders want on-time reliability. So the Transit Route Optimization Study is divided into 2 phases. Phase 1 is being managed and funded by the TPO, and it will result in a choice analysis summary, which you're going to hear highlights of today. And phase 2 will result in the actual network alternatives, the actual redesigns, and that's being funded and managed by St. Lucie County. Phase 1 is being conducted by Marlin Engineering with sub-consultant Jared Walker and Associates. And here is Scudder Wag of Jared Walker and Associates to make the presentation.
Good afternoon, folks. Just a moment while I get my screen up. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Great. Thank you, Marcia. Thank you to members of the board. It's a pleasure to speak with you today. Just a quick
Excuse me, before you get
addition.
started, I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Just an alert to anybody who has their phones on the dais and it's on vibrate, it is doing a reverb back. So if your phone, put it to silent or put it in your lap. Thank you. Sorry for the interruption.
Yes.
Go ahead and continue.
No, that's an important detail. So just to add a little bit more to what Marcia was saying about why we're doing this is, a key reason a lot of communities take a holistic redesign look at their transit networks is that their networks haven't changed much, even though the development of the city, county, region has changed dramatically. And of course, you all have grown quite dramatically, even in the last 10 to 20 years. But the network, bus network you have hasn't really adapted or changed much in that time. So this is a good time, a good opportunity to just think in a blank way and kind of what might you do if starting from scratch. And one of the really critical things we want everyone to start from as we think about what you might do if you wanted to change your entire transit system is start with some key value questions, because transit agencies, transit networks are often asked to meet a wide variety of goals, a wide variety of needs. These highlighted below are just a few, but very common things that transit agencies are asked to do. Serving the needs of elderly or disabled, supporting dense and walkable development, reducing congestion, getting people to jobs, for example. And the thing that everyone needs to understand is that quite often these demands are actually asking us to do very different things with how you would design a transit system. And they may conflict with other goals and other priorities for transit. So if we're starting, for example, potentially from trying to say maximizing just these highlighted goals, like reducing congestion, getting people out of cars, getting a lot of ridership, getting as many people to jobs quickly as we can, for example. These types of goals are things that ask us to get a lot of people riding transit and effectively ask us to maximize your ridership relative to cost. And if that were our goal, I know as a transit planner exactly to tell you what you want to do. You want to prioritize higher frequency service, which means less waiting because there's a bus coming soon, with a well-connected network that's easy to make transfers, that's reasonably fast and reliable, and focuses that service within the budget you've got on the places you're going to get the most people served, meaning dense, walkable, linear, and proximate places. We call that the ridership recipe, basically. And frequency comes first. Frequency is something that is often neglected in thinking about transit. Folks who come to transit from say highway planning are often thinking about speed, but in transit, frequency is really the first thing that matters because it offers three independent, extremely valuable things. The more frequent a service is, the easier it is to just walk out and go when you want to go without having to worry about the schedule. It makes connections between routes much easier when you have higher frequency service. And it's a simple backstop for reliability. If you're on a route that's every 30 minutes, 20 minutes, or 15 minutes or better, for example, if a bus breaks down and another one is coming soon, you're not that worried about, it's less of a challenge. For short trips, frequency waiting can make most of your travel time. And so, this problem of frequency is hard to explain to folks who don't use transit very often. You can imagine, for example, waiting a long time for an elevator in an old building. That feels like an interminable wait sometimes. Might be only a few minutes. A really long traffic signal at a big intersection might be 2 minutes, which seems like an extremely long time. That's the feeling of you cannot go until, or railroad crossing. You have, 5-minute wait for a long freight train. That is a similar experience, but all of those are still maybe 5 minutes at most. But imagine there's a gate at the end of your driveway and that gate only opens once an hour. And if you're going to get to work on time and that gate opens at 7, 8, and 9, and you have to be at work at 8, well, you better be there and in your car and ready to go when the gate opens at 7. That's like living on an hourly bus route. And most of your bus routes in St. Lucie County are every hour. So that is the effective experience of that kind of low frequency service. So the challenge is frequency is expensive. If we want to take a route that's every 60 minutes and make it every 30 minutes, that's double the cost in terms of the numbers of drivers, the number of buses, the dollars you're spending every year to run that service. So we can't be equally useful everywhere, particularly if we want to improve frequency. And that ultimately raises the challenge of, is higher ridership really what you want? Because it's asking you to make some tough trade-offs, particularly a ridership versus coverage trade-off. And we can imagine this in abstract general terms with this fictional town on the right. And this town has 18 buses that it can put across its network. And all these dots are people and jobs, and all these gray lines are roads that we can run buses on. And if you all were the transit agency board and you said, let's maximize as many riders as we can, get as many people riding transit as possible, I'd say, all right, let's design this network. This is a network where we put 9 buses on Route A and 9 buses on Route B. And because there are so many buses on each of these routes, there's a bus coming every 10 minutes, which is not a long wait. And that means anyone who's near those 2 routes, which is about 70% of the population here and 70% of the jobs, you have a really short wait to catch a bus, and a really short wait if you're trying to transfer between the 2 routes. And so for 70% of the people, 70% of the jobs, it's really easy to get somewhere. You can get there quickly. And this kind of network, it maximizes the number of people you're getting out of cars. It maximizes the number of jobs people can reach in a reasonable amount of time, a 30 or 40-minute commute, for example. It supports dense and walkable development because it's serving those dense communities very, very well. And you get lower subsidies per passenger because you have so many more passengers over a fixed amount of 18 buses. And effectively, you're thinking kind of like a business and only going to the markets that you know are going to achieve high service and high ridership. But Mrs. Smith down here in the southeast corner of this town might say, this isn't fair to me. I pay taxes. I deserve something. And my response as a technical planner is, we are prioritizing a goal here of maximizing ridership. And so we're measuring our success on productivity, which is ridership divided by cost. And so we aren't trying to serve everyone with this network. And you all might say, well, maybe we should rethink our goal. Maybe we should do something different. Maybe we should emphasize getting some service to everyone. Now I would say, well, that's an important goal too. And that goal is about covering everyone. And that leads us to design something very different. Would suggest, if that was your goal, design a network with 10 bus routes. So you can only put 1 or 2 buses on each route with only 18 buses. And now you have service to every nook and cranny of the city. Mrs. Smith has a bus coming by her house down here. Mr. Jones, with the new development out here in the northeast corner of the city, has a bus service to his business. But most of these routes only run once an hour because you've only got 1 bus on them. And you've provided that access for all, that lifeline access for people who are really in need, but maybe in hard to reach places, or to every municipality or town or service district or electoral district in the city. But it's not particularly useful to most people. So not a lot of people choose to ride. But I would say you have chosen to emphasize a coverage goal. So that is what you measure your success on, the number of people or percent of people and jobs that you're covering. And you don't worry about your ridership. So ultimately, most people want us to try to achieve both of these goals. And the challenge is that they lead us in such very different directions that $1 we're spending to maximize coverage is $1 we're not spending to maximize ridership. And if we're asked to do the same thing at the same time with the same bus, or try to maximize both these goals at the same time with the same bus, it's effectively like sitting in the back of a taxi and asking us to turn left and right at the same time. It's just not possible. So most communities, it's helpful to think about this trade-off in a very clear way, because you can't solve this conflict since it's a basic geometric conflict, but you can carefully think about how you want to balance these goals. Very few systems are all 100% ridership or all 100% coverage. We would say today, your current bus network is about 40% emphasizing ridership and about 60% emphasizing coverage. And what we mean by that is about 40% of the dollars you're spending on transit are emphasizing ridership and about 60% are emphasizing coverage. Is that the right balance for you? Do you want to change that? That's what we're basically asking in this process. So in the first phase of public engagement, which we did back in February, we asked this kind of a question at a general level. We asked it in two different ways. Would you like a bus system that takes you 50 places every hour or to 10 places every 20 minutes? And in blue is the more coverage-oriented answer, and about 51% of people said they prefer a more coverage-oriented system, 49% more ridership-oriented, so about half and half. And we asked a different way where we asked, do you want more bus routes or do you want faster bus service, which is a similar way of kind of asking about that trade-off. And in this way, people said about 2/3 preferred more of a coverage orientation and about 1/3 a ridership orientation. And this was from 400 surveys from almost half of them riders that we collected both from libraries and bus terminals and online via email blasts and presentations to a number of organizations here. So this is that ridership coverage question is really a crucial question because we're asking, would you redesign the network within, how might you redesign the network within the existing budget? But another thing to think about is you have relatively little service today. This chart on the left is showing you how many service hours, and one service hour is one bus running on the street for 1 hour. How many service hours per capita you have in St. Lucie County compared to other places that are comparable in terms of population and size and so on. And St. Lucie County has relatively low investment levels in terms of service hours per capita when you look at comparable places. And because of that, when you look at the chart on the right, you have relatively low ridership per capita, meaning how many people actually board a bus relative to the total population in St. Lucie County. So we aren't explicitly saying you need more investment, but it is something to consider when you think about whether your investment level is sufficient to meet your needs. And in some of the ways this relatively limited investment creates challenges for your ability for transit to serve the community is that one, you've only got 8 routes today. They're in relatively complex patterns and they have very low frequency. Only one route runs every 30 minutes normally. That's Route 1 that runs on US 1 from Fort Pierce down to Treasure Coast Square Mall. And every other route is no better than once an hour most of the time. And also the service hours are pretty limited. Most routes run 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. on weekdays and even less on Saturdays. And there's no service at all on Sundays. So you think about someone who works in a retail job or a restaurant job or similar sorts of work where you often have to work the weekends and you have to work evenings, sometimes maybe even late. They obviously can't really rely on transit because it's not going to be there for them, after 8 p.m. on weekdays or on Sundays, or even after 4 p.m. on Saturdays. So that creates a lot of limitations in the network. We've also analyzed in this choices report, and you can go into more detail, things like how productive, meaning how efficient in a way are your current routes in terms of how well they move people per the dollars you're spending on them. So this chart is giving you that assessment of how many people are boarding for every hour of service that a bus is on the street. And so your most productive routes are basically routes 1, again on US 1, route 2 in northern city of Fort Pierce, and route 3, which covers Okeechobee and Delaware and southern parts of Fort Pierce. And the lower productivity routes are generally in Port St. Lucie, 4, 5, and 6 are generally a bit lower in productivity. And then the microtransit zone here, I note, is also relatively low productivity, which is not surprising. Microtransit is a service that is definitely more coverage oriented and has a pretty low ceiling on productivity. So this is just a quick summary of all of the analysis that's in the draft choices report that looks at the existing system and raises these key choice questions. Our next steps are to help you visualize what a ridership-oriented network or a coverage-oriented network looks like in St. Lucie County. So we are working on basically turning these abstract diagrams of what those networks look like into maps of what it would look like in St. Lucie County. We started that work back in April and sat down with staff from the TPO, from the county, from the municipalities, looking at demographics, existing ridership, and so on to start sketching potential concepts. We had some daily presentations to key stakeholders, and we're currently in the process of refining those concepts and developing a summary of the outcomes, which will be an additional chapter to this draft choices report that will then be part of the next phase of public outreach to get more detailed input on how you all want to balance these ridership and coverage goals in St. Lucie County. So that's the summary. We'd certainly like at a just general level to discuss your thoughts on the ridership coverage trade-off for St. Lucie County or any of these other issues that we've raised in the report. And hope you will accept the draft report that we've produced at this point.
Okay, bring it back to the board. Any questions, comments?
The only question, stupid question, is one you don't ask, but so I'm gonna ask. On these routes where they're not so close, do we have bicycle racks where people can, if they're like Mr. Jones or Mr. Smith, I forget which one they used, can they take a bicycle, park it where the optimized bus route is, park their bike there, lock it up, and get on a bus? I don't know the answer.
And Madam Vice Chair, when new bus shelters are installed, yes, they do include bike racks, and the buses themselves also have bike racks. Now, I can't guarantee that every bike rack that was installed in the past has, I mean, every bus shelter has been installed that has a bike rack, but that is the intention to integrate the walk and the St. Lucie Walk Bike Network with the transit system.
Thank you.
And Commissioner Mitchell, a lot of the buses, the riders that have the bikes, they put their bike on the front of the bus and take it on the bus with them. And if they get off a route that doesn't, that there's this area in between, they get on the bus and go to the next stop.
Okay, thank you.
And just to tag on to that, I know that's been an issue because the buses only allow, if I'm not mistaken, only 3 bikes.
Yeah, I think there's 2 buses now that they have 4. They have a bigger rack. And when you and I rode that one time,
Right.
they upped them. Yeah, they.
Because they were running out, but thank you. Anything else? Is there a motion to accept the report?
Motion to approve item 9B.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve 9B. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you so much for the presentation, and now on to 9C.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair and members of the board. Well, according to federal and state requirements, the TPO must develop a transportation improvement program known as a TIP annually. And the purpose of the TIP is to identify the transportation improvement projects located within the TPO area that are prioritized and are receiving state and federal funding over a 5-year period. And here to present the TIP for fiscal years 21-22 for 25-26 is the TIP manager, E. Ding. E,
Thanks,
take it
Peter.
away.
Good afternoon, Madam Vice Chair and members of the board. So the development of TIP is a year-long process, and it started last year in June when the staff of TPO, local jurisdiction, and FDOT District 4 they meet together to discuss the TPO's priority projects. Based on those discussions, the list of priority projects then was developed that the board adopted last August. Based on the list of priority projects, the draft alternative work program was developed by FDOT and endorsed by the TPO board in January this year. The final alternative work program then was received by FDOT in April, and was used to prepare this draft TIP that is before you today for adoption, which completes a year process. And the new process for next TIP has already begun again last month with an informal meeting with the FDOT District 4 to discuss the priority projects for next TIP. So in the next few slides, I'm going to go through the highlights for this draft TIP. That including the widening of Port St. Lucie Boulevard from Alcantara Boulevard to Darwin Boulevard remains programmed for construction in 2022, and the segment from Park Drive to Alcantara Boulevard is programmed for construction starting in 2024. The PD&E study for Jenkins Road from Midway Road to Orange Avenue is fully programmed starting in 2025. The historic Highwayman Trail Gap for Sun Trail is programmed for construction in 2023. The feasibility study for the Port of Fort Pierce overpass connector for the Sun Trail is programmed for 2022. The TSM projects from the TPO's congestion management process, which consists of the installation of fiber optic cable and the traffic camera and adaptive traffic signal control on the roadway segments on Prima Vista Boulevard and Port St. Lucie Boulevard, are programmed for installation in 2026. Over $700,000 of funding is programmed for a new sidewalk on Walton Road through the TPO's TAP program funding for the 2020 grant cycle. Several resurfacing projects on US 1, Emerson Avenue, Okeechobee Road, and Port St. Lucie Boulevard are programmed. And the design of widening of Florida Turnpike from Martin County line to Becker Road is programmed for 2025. So in all, the total amount of funding in the draft tip for the TPO area exceeds a total of $372 million through all 5 years. The tip is fiscally constrained with the project cost equal to the project funding. In addition, the draft tip appears to be consistent with the newly adopted Smart Move 2045 Long-Range Transportation Plan. So according to MAP 21 and FAST Act, state DOTs are required to establish the statewide performance targets, and the MPOs have the option to support the statewide targets or establish their own targets. In addition to the federally required performance targets, the TPO has established the targets for the local performance measures in the Smart Move 2045 ARTP related to the local goals. The TIP adopted the performance targets while we are adopting the TIP every year. And those targets are identified in the TIP ARTP System Performance Report, which are also consistent with the Florida Transportation Performance Measure Consensus Planning document. Furthermore, the report demonstrates the linking of the investment priorities to the targets, how the TIP reflects the investment priority established in the RTP, and how those investment priorities are linked to the performance targets in the TIP. So at their meeting during the week of May 10th, the TPO advisory committees recommended for the adoption of the draft TIP. And based on those recommendations, and as the draft TIP is consistent with the ARTP and the draft tentative work program, it is recommended the TIP be adopted by the board. And this is wrap up my presentation today, and I'm happy to take any question you have.
Any questions?
Just a comment. Mr. Buchwald, I just want to thank you really so much and your staff for your attention to PSL Boulevard South and keeping on it and working with the city and making sure that this project stays on track and gets accelerated as much as it has been. Because without your assistance and guidance and help with us with DOT, I think we would have had a longer delay. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Most appreciated.
Madam Chair, as we move these things forward, we hear about this infrastructure bill that may come. Are these projects aligned also from a shovel-ready standpoint? We've learned about that in the past stimulus. Was that taken into consideration when the different groups had met and discussed those opportunities, I should say?
Yes, Madam Vice Chair, if I may. Commissioner, that's, yes, indeed. The projects that are programmed now in various states of construction have the opportunity to move up because of that funding even further. Or certain phases, we talked about Jenkins Road, the study being accelerated. We talked about the southern portion of PSL Boulevard, as well as Midway Road from Jenkins to Glades Cutoff. So all of those have tremendous opportunities. In fact, earmarks have been submitted on behalf of Port St. Lucie for the southern Port St. Lucie Boulevard project, as well as for Midway Road, for the Midway Road from Jenkins to Glades Cutoff, including the new Turnpike interchange. So both of those are top priority projects. So we've had the staffs, your staffs have done a great job along with DOT, ensuring that those designs are being completed, the right-of-way is being acquired. So should that money become available, we'll be able to meet the obligation deadline that's specified for those. So we're in great position to receive that funding.
Okay, because the board last night, the Board of County Commissioners approved a 45 billion, I wish, $1 million bond to fast forward Midway Road and Jenkins process, so.
That's great. I may add that this board will consider, we have about 1.7 million, not a large amount, but a small amount that is coming directly to this board from the Coronavirus Response and Relief Act, that for the next draft 10 of work product, the next tip will be decide what should be done about that. Should be filling a gap in a particular project that could make it advance it towards funding even sooner, or is it completing a different phase, or perhaps you may choose to spend it on each of the jurisdictions has a sidewalk project or a path project, much like we did for the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act. So,
You know, when we did the TCTC meeting, you know, one of the things that came forward and kind of, you know, woke me up a little bit was the number of roads that are not on the state system. You know, when we looked at the funding that was available through the TCTC, and we discussed, argued, debated, and to try to get additional funding, how is it that we can get more roads on the state system? Because it seems that it's really a challenge that, you know, the fastest growing county, seventh fastest growing city in the state doesn't get much love. And so I'm just wondering how it is that we could secure some assistance from the state for more state funding roads.
well, that's correct, Commissioner. Actually, in District 4, which includes the 5 counties, the 3 counties, the 3 counties of Treasure Coast, Broward, and Palm Beach counties, we have the least amount of miles on the state system percentage-wise. We only have about 10%. And our neighbors to the south and further south, Palm Beach and Broward, are more than 50%. And just the nature of the dynamic here. The things they can do is we can swap. The one thing the Florida Department of Transportation hasn't expressed desire is adding to their network, but they're willing to swap. So those roads that we feel make sense to where the local agencies take over the ownership and control of it in place, and the DOT takes over the another portion of the network, that makes sense. But also, what we have been doing very well, and each of your staffs have done a great job pursuing those grants, those state grants that can be used off the state system, that being TRIP is one, also the County Incentive Grant Program, SIGP, and as well as whereas we can leverage those investments, and those require a local match. So appreciate it to all the local boards who have provided those local matches for that state funding, and we've gotten a tremendous share in terms of District 4 because of our projects being shovel ready. Because we're willing to provide the local matches, we do, I think, make up a large portion of that with our TRIP funding. So if we continue to, and SIGP funding, so if we continue to aggressively go after those state funding, and then go after the federal fundings and some of the discretionary grant programs that can help to fill the gap.
Well, the hope is the earmarks start to come and we start to be able to get additional funding that way.
That would be
But the
good.
infrastructure bill, I think, is going to be incredibly important to this county specifically, so.
Yes, and that's in addition to the reauthorization. Should there be a separate infrastructure bill, that'd be additional funding coming through. So it's continue to keep these projects moving. If they're in design, keeping the design going so that they are completed. The right-of-way, keep that coming, and so that we can take advantage of these.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I just have-
Commissioner Hutchinson?
I just have a comment. Mr. Buckwald, you and I spoke the other day, and there was some verbiage that I would it suggests be changed on page C 139, 8. This was on the,
Correct, I have it there on the screen.
did you
And,
put it up there? Okay.
Yes.
Well, it still says, it still states the responsible agency not available.
No,
That's what it is.
we plan to make the change of, and I'm glad that DOT
Okay.
is here as well, that this should be clarified, that this project actually includes, crosses multiple two jurisdictions, so it's not just Port St. Lucie, TSM, and various locations. So E, what we plan to do, we'll delete the Port St. Lucie, so it's TSM and various locations. And the lead agencies are two, would be Port St. Lucie for that portion of the project that's on Port St. Lucie Boulevard, and then the county is the responsible agency for that portion on Prima Vista Boulevard. So this merged a couple of projects that were separated on our CMP list, but DOT put them together, so they're here now to make those notes, and they'll make the changes in the work program, and we'll make the changes here in our tip to clarify that it's TSMO various locations. It includes both St. Lucie County on the St. Lucie County network as well as the Port St. Lucie network.
Thank you.
Uncle Jack.
Oh, I do, real quick, I think that, Chris, I think we can bring up that TC meeting, maybe at the end of this meeting under
Okay.
discussion. It was pretty acrimonious, to say the least.
So just a comment on what Commissioner Sadowski said with the Midway Road, and of course, I guess that's near and dear to my heart because that's in my neck of the woods. I just want to make sure also with Jenkins Road continuing down from Orange to Midway, that intersection there, which also includes Milner, that is going to be a heavy lift. And I look forward to seeing more on that when it comes forward. Anything else? Motion to recommend that the draft tip be adopted?
And I just want to, just one last thing is that this is a living document, so this can morph throughout as things change in each of our jurisdictions, and things can be moved forward and backwards and so on and so forth, right? So,
Correct, Madam Vice Chair. It's true, with the work program itself also from DOT is a living because it's worked on a cash flow basis, so that needs to be modified also as project bids come in, need to change funding, but also we can make amendments to the TIP as well in cooperation with FDOT at any time as well.
thank you. Madam Chair, move approval of staff recommendation.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And now on to 9D, list of priority projects.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair and members of the board. Well, as E referenced, the annual development of the TPO's Transportation Improvement Program was completed with your adoption of the TIP during the previous agenda item, but the process already started again. And as we have an overlap, which occurs every other year, because of the advancement of the Florida legislative session every other year. So we start the list of priority projects and the process a little bit early, but it still follows the same, where we start with a local meeting with the Florida Department of Transportation and your staff. Then we do the list of priority projects continues with its adoption, followed by then your review of the draft tentative work program that will occur in October of this year. And then we start all over again. We adopt the TIP next June, and we start all over again with an informal meeting with DOT. So every year, the process repeats itself. For this year, for the 2021-22 list of priority projects, there's no significant change or proposed from the master list, with the revision limited to updating the project status and the notes based on the Transportation Improvement Program that you just adopted, and updating the estimated cost based on the Smart Moves 2045 Long Range Transportation Plan. Now, the congestion management process list, this is where we have the most significant changes. As you can see, those top 5 projects were programmed in the TIP, and including the 3, 4, and 5, which Commissioner Hutchinson was referring to as being a multi-jurisdictional with 2 different projects within the, and 2 different agency leads. So those are proposed to be removed because they're programmed from the TIP, and we'll propose for 3 new projects from Phase 2, the Advanced Transportation Management System, the ATMS master plan, and from the congestion management process, major update. We'll add these 3 new projects to the bottom of the list. 2 of those projects are connecting and adding, connecting the traffic signals with fiber optic and adding adaptive control to the signals along Orange Avenue from US 1 to Kings Highway and along Midway Road from US 1 to Selvets Road, those portion that is under construction. Now, we're incorporating it into the design, and we'll ensure that it's incorporating the construction for the remainder of Midway Road as we continue to proceed west. Now, the third project is to construct the needed improvements to the intersection of Gatlin and Savona Boulevards. Now, the revisions to the transit project list, similar to the master list, are limited to updating the estimated costs based on the information received from the St. Lucie County Transit staff. The transportation alternatives list, as the revisions to those consist of prioritizing the Kester Drive sidewalk project to reflect the results of the 2021 Transportation Alternatives Projects grant cycle that you approved, moving that to the top of the list, expecting that to be programmed in the next tip in the draft tentative work program, and to remove projects programmed for construction with local funds based on the input from the local agency staffs, and also to be consistent with the recently adopted Smart Moves 2045 long-range plan. Now, at their meetings during the week of May 17th, the TPO advisory committees recommended the adoption of the draft list of priority projects with the conditions as summarized on the screen. That being that the Citizens Advisory Committee wanted congestion on St. Lucie West Boulevard to be addressed, as well as advancing the Easy Street Sidewalk Project from number 37 to number 2, and the Angle Road Sidewalk Project from number 19 to number 3. Now, the Technical Advisory Committee concurred with one of the recommendations of the Citizens Advisory Committee, that being the Easy Street Sidewalk Project, moving that up from number 37 to number 2 on the TA project list. And the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee just had a straight recommendation for adoption. So based on the recommendations of these TPO advisory committees, and because the projects in the draft 21-22 list of priority projects are consistent with the Smart Moves 2045 long-range plan, it is recommended that the draft list of priority projects be recommended for adoption by the board, with the condition that the Easy Street Sidewalk Project be advanced from number 37 to number 2 on the Transportation Alternatives Project list.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Yes, ma'am. These questions are mostly rhetorical, and because I haven't been around for 7 years, maybe they are being addressed. But you look at the advisory committee, I had it marked here, Citizens Advisory Committee. First thing is congestion on St. Lucie West Boulevard is addressed. Nowhere do I see that addressed. And I know that most of it goes to the fact that the 2-lane bridge that we have going to PGA over Route 95, which has been a disaster for 20 years, and I remember 20 years ago that was supposed to be addressed within 10 years, and I'm off the board, and I don't know what's happened with that deal, but I'm sure I don't have to remind everybody what it is like to get on that St. Lucie West Boulevard off of 95 at 5 o'clock, never mind what it's like during, which we didn't go through with the Mets season. It's just a complete disaster, but that doesn't address what the advisory committee's recommendations was. The other 2 things were addressed, but not that one. The congestion on St. Lucie West Boulevard is addressed. Where? I don't see it. Am I missing something, Peter? Or, and I don't mean to be indignant or anything, but I don't see it anywhere where it's addressed.
The, Madam Chair?
I must be, I'm sure it's
Madam
been
Chair,
over the years, but I haven't been here.
The bridge
Chris,
is coming, we put,
Yeah.
I'll let Peter tell you.
That's correct. I was going to give the date of as I-95 at St. Lucie West will start construction this upcoming fiscal year. So after July 1st, we'll see construction. I just adopted the tip with that. So we're going to construct a new interchange there at St. Lucie West Boulevard that includes an additional bridge with additional ramp configuration. So that will start construction the upcoming fiscal year. Now, with regards to the rest of the reason why you don't see it anywhere is because it's not on any of our list of priority projects, because we just recently adopted the long-range plan that included it in the outlying area, in the outlying years. And one of the reasons is we're still not quite sure how to address it with local staffs and with the city council in terms of what's the best way to address the congestion there on St. Lucie West Boulevard with all the driveway connections, with all that. Is it something that the businesses are willing to accept that type of, because it'd be a massive undertaking, it'd be a lot of disruption. So the best thing to add lanes is to add some type of automated transit, some type of other use where we're rather than adding capacity for single occupant automobiles, are we doing something else that should be considered on there? So that's, something that can, we can start taking a look at. And this is why we we adopt this list every year. This is also why we update the long-range plan every 5 years. As funds become available, we can reconsider that. But you're right, at this point, the list of priority projects does not contain anything on it pertaining to that congestion.
And Peter, you just said some words that I've heard many times, is that what you're really saying is, we really don't have a plan, we really don't know what to do. I'm not talking about the bridge, I'm talking about, and I'm looking at council people here, it wasn't done well in the very, and I'm talking way, way back in the very beginning. It wasn't handled, and all of the shopping centers do not connect in the back, and I'm not gonna get into it, but it's gotta be addressed. It's the worst problem in the city of Port St. Lucie as St. Louis West Boulevard. And it's always been something, it's been in my crew, it's bothered me for years and years, but now that I have to go a few times a week out to, my new building out there and right up PGA Boulevard, I never do I get at the end of Crosstown Parkway and go on 95 and get off, because it's a 10 to 15-minute wait just to get off at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Imagine what it's like, I guess, at 5:30 or 6, or during the Mets training season, or any other thing that we have going on there. But the other side, and you all know this is something everybody knows, coming the other way, coming from the north to the south and getting off there it's just a catastrophe. What is it back up now? Fanny, you guys know, what is it back up, 3 miles onto 95? I think that's the last I've heard, 2 years ago. It just, it's just a disaster. So the bridge has got to be built, and if it's in the plan this year, fine, but all I heard was it's in the planning.
Well, the bridge will be constructed,
When will it be done? Can you tell me that?
I can return that within, it's going to start construction in the next fiscal year. So you give it a year or two, I can get a better answer for you by looking up and provide that to you. But another project that the county and the city are collaborating on as well is the Peacock intersection. As well, they're both looking at needed improvements to that. So you're going to see some improvement there, certainly in the western portion of St. Lucie West Boulevard. And, it's I think you talk about, it was poorly done, but I think everybody's learned from that. We don't plan, the local planners don't plan that way anymore. They believe in connectivity. They look at it, so I think we've all learned from that and are doing things so the newer development is not experiencing that type of issues because of learning from that type of what was approved in the past.
Okay, so there's no answer is when the bridge.
Well, the answer is.
And is it gonna be 4 lanes or 6 lanes? Is it gonna be, you said another bridge, is the other bridge gonna be 4 lanes or 6 lanes?
5 lanes.
It's gonna be 5 lanes.
Yeah, 3 on one side, depending on the.
In addition
lane
to what we already have, or are we taking that bridge out?
No, they're adding a new bridge, so that was really just half of an interchange. So they're adding a 3-lane bridge that'll accommodate, and I don't know which direction for the turning movements, but accommodate the extra lane in order to accommodate access on I-95. So that will improve that interchange along the Peacock interchanges. So we're not doing anything. It just is other priorities. This board has decided that there's other priorities at this time.
Yeah.
But that's not without them. They're also, the board has programmed it in the long-range plan while we figure out exactly what's the best way to handle the remaining segments of St. Lucie West Boulevard.
I'll leave it right there. These are things that, I'm put up with me because I haven't been here for 8 years, but I just know the same problem existed 15, 20 years ago, and
It
I'm
still
looking
does.
at my fellow
And,
historians here.
just to let you know,
Can't
I
get
don't think
lanes out of
there's,
it.
I don't think there's a meeting that goes by at city council that we don't bring up the traffic on St. Lucie West. So we're all aware, and it's just getting
It
it
was
done.
bad.
And Madam Chair, if I
Yes.
could, there's been many meetings where we have done things, we've supported and put funding towards, the signalization, putting it in
Yes.
queue, that's been done. There's been every effort's been made, and every year, I think there's funding that goes towards addressing those issues. And the thing is, you can't build enough lanes.
I know.
Yeah.
So you're gonna put everybody out of business or that lives there, and the disruption alone is gonna be a mess. So I would venture to do what we're doing now, and that's letting everybody try to throw ideas at the table or on the wall and we'll see which one sticks. And it's the things like the mobility of, is it express lane that goes through there, and will people actually use it? Because that's gonna be the kicker. People love their cars.
Well, Franny, you know, back then, every time I would bring it up, or anybody from that area would bring it up, Jim Anderson, or anyone, we were told, it's the bridge, you know, and it is, the bridge is a big deal, but still, it was poorly planned, and I own it. I own that, I was there too, because I was told there will be plans coming. Walter England told us years ago, this was gonna happen, and he was right. He had the history and he knew, but the bridge isn't built, and we don't have a date when it will be, and I'm sure we'll talk about it again.
Well, the good news
Well, the
is-
bridge is the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
it is.
Yeah, but there's not a date when it's gonna be built, and I should have asked those questions years and years ago, because,
The funding,
you know,
the developers pay for it, the funding,
Yeah.
we put the developers on the hook for that one.
yeah. Thanks for putting up with me. It's just that when, you know, we have a committee that says the congestion on St. Louis West Boulevard is addressed, and I really don't think it's addressed.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Then if we could move approval with the conditions,
Conditions or
the Easy Street Sidewalk Project advanced.
move approval.
Question, on the Easy Street one, are we not realigning that intersection two? Shouldn't
Yes.
those two go together?
They
Because
do,
it-
that's what we're doing. is
Okay, I just
moving
want
it
to make sure
up
that that's part of the
No.
conversation,
Trust me, I.
Make sure of that.
because it definitely needs realigned, so. All right, thank you.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Any opposed?
Just me, for the reasons I gave you.
One opposed. And motion carries. Okay, now on to 10A.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair and members of the board. This item continues the review of transit representation on the TPO boards and advisory committees that occurred at the TPO board meetings in August and October of last year in response to the transit operator changing from the Council on Aging's Community Transit to MV Transportation. Now, at the August meeting, the board approved a plan for future representation, which on further review of its implementation by staff and the attorney was identified to result in potential issues that prompt several revisions to be considered by the board that are before you today for discussion. Starting with the transit representation on the Technical Advisory Committee, the TAC membership currently includes St. Lucie County Transit Management and Community Transit. Now, since MV Transportation is under contract with St. Lucie County Transit Management and is represented by St. Lucie County Transit Management, to minimize any potential conflicts among the membership, it's recommended that MV Transportation not be provided membership on the TAC to ensure the independence of the members in the performance of their duties and responsibilities. In addition, as it may be appropriate to maintain an independent public transportation operator to provide another perspective on the transit operations in the TPO area, it's proposed to revise the TAC bylaws, rules, and procedures to reclassify the community transit representative to be a representative of an independent public transportation operator that is appointed by the TPO board. So the TPO board will appoint this position, or whoever fulfills this position. It's intended for this representative to be providing for-profit or non-profit public transportation and is independent of any of the local government members of the TPO board or the TAC. Now, while community transit with its current operations would qualify for this membership, MV would not qualify. So now with regard to the transit representation on the local coordinating board for the transportation disadvantaged, or also known as the LCD, community transit has historically occupied the membership position specified in Rule 41-2 of the Florida Administrative Code, which is the chairperson or designee of the local mass transit or public transportation systems board. Now, since a local mass transit or public transit system board currently does not exist in St. Lucie County, it's recommended that community transit does not represent it, and that this membership position remain vacant until such time that such a board is formed. Now, upon inquiry to the Florida Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged, it was confirmed that this membership position may remain vacant until the situation changes. So, in absence of any objections from the board, these changes to both the TAC and the LCB would be brought back before you as a consent agenda item for formal adoption at your meeting in August. So we now look forward to your discussion and comments being provided to staff.
Any discussion? Comments for Peter on this? Because it will be brought back to us for a vote.
Madam Chair, Peter, when you and I discussed this the other day, could you give everybody, and I think I don't think you purposely did it, but I think you might have forgotten, there needs to be a little bit of a definition. Go back to your other board on the, where you listed everybody on there, not that one. Who was qualified under an independent public transportation operator?
Yeah, Madam
Give
Chair.
us examples and so forth.
Commissioner Hustle, well, right now, Council on Aging, as they're operating the Alzheimer's care and are contracted directly with FTA for some of their operations, but they're not under contract with any of the local agencies, they would qualify. Independent, there's a provider known as, that's right now sits on the LCP in the nonprofit and for-profit, who is not the CTC, Community Transportation Coordinator, Just Transit. They would also will qualify. So there's several examples of, again, independent public transportation operators who are not under contract or independent of any local government.
Madam Chair, Peter, could you talk about why MV is, as the county's current transit operator, not qualified to be on the?
When Community Transit used to.
No, it would be MV, that's correct. Madam Vice Chair, Commissioners, obviously because the MV is under contract to County Transit Management, so they report to County Transit Management. They work for County Transit Management. So you'd have basically somebody on the board who on the TAC, would necessarily, you know, it'd be a challenge for their independence from transit management. So that may not be equitable to the other members on the TAC who each are independent representatives for their own departments.
Madam Chair, I think the reason why we're confused, Peter, is Community Transit was in the position of MB, and they've always had a place at this board and with the other board. They've always had a seat at the table. Why is it now that they no longer have the contract, but the company that has the contract is not afforded the same opportunity to have representation with somebody representing them to sit at the table? And now all of a sudden it's totally striped and it's just the independent transportation operator. If Community Transit's always had a seat here, MV having the current position, they should have a seat at the table with us too, both of them. Why is it all of a sudden now that MV is in place and MV doesn't have the opportunity to have a representation, but for years, Community Transit did?
Well, Madam Vice Chair, well, that's something that was inherited, that was here prior to my tenure here. It's always, lack of a better word, it's always been that way. I don't know exactly why it was established that way. Maybe a little different relationship back then between Community Transit and the county that the county and MV have today. Could be one of the reasons. I don't know all the reasons as to why they were placed in their positions that they were. But I do know upon examination, this is what it presents itself. So right now it presents itself with the challenge of you have a position that's under contract for another position on the Technical Advisory Committee. That isn't true with the other positions. And you have a Community Transit occupying a position on the LCB that they really don't qualify for on this position. So while there is another position on the LCB that they could fulfill, which is, I don't know if we can see that here, a experienced representative of local private for-profit transportation industry, and except where it could also be a local private nonprofit if you don't have private for-profit, except where the representative is the Community Transportation Coordinator. So that is Part M. However, that is already filled by Just Transit, which operates several limited number of buses here in the area.
So again, I'm still confused. If Community Transit, who is a business, a private business, just like MV, just like if it was ABC Transportation, they've had a representation on this board and the LCB board. Now all of a sudden, they don't have any relationship with the county. They're a private business. but the company that now has the current contract doesn't have the right to have a table, sit at the table too. So now we're changing the rules and language to be able to let community transit continue to sit here, and MV doesn't have a chance to be represented at the table when they should have the same opportunity that community transit has had in the past, is my question.
Oh, ma'am, sure. If I can answer that question. Community transit does not have to sit on TAC. The board would appoint who would fulfill that new position of the, or the redefined position of independent transportation operator. So that would be at the board's discretion of who sits in there. Now, MV would not qualify because they're not independent.
So where does the independent public transportation operator come in? Where did that come from?
This to me is shady, I'm sorry.
This is,
Well, that's not a good term.
yeah,
Well,
I
it
don't
is a
think,
good
I
term.
disagree with that completely, because it comes from here, Florida Administrative Code that has a similar, Part M is an experienced representative of local private for transportation industry, except where the county, except where said representative is the CTC. The county is the CTC, so MV by proxy is the CTC. So MV could not be in that position according to Florida statute. So it's mirroring the Florida
The
statute
question
in
is,
terms of that.
when you're explaining that, community transit has been here for years, so if that's the statute, are we making up for the sins of our past? We did this before, we shouldn't have been?
How do I answer that question? How
I'm
do I
trying
begin
to
to answer that
understand.
question like that? What are you trying,
And the way I see it, in all fairness, community transit has a seat here on this board and the other board. That's fine.
And they belong.
But they no longer should take the seat they had, and the current transit company should have a seat at the table, just like community transit has had. To be fair, they both should be able to come to the table and have representation, both businesses. We shouldn't just say our current MV Transportation doesn't have a seat here when community transit's had a seat for 30 years or however long this board's been done.
well,
Why are they not afforded the same opportunity that community transit's been?
I think
MV
this
does, if I
is,
just want clarification, MV does have a seat at the table, represented by St. Lucie County Transit Management.
Okay,
They
why
do
are
have a
they
seat at the
represented
table.
by the county when community transit wasn't, when they had the same contract?
I, as I said, inherited that situation. It happened before my time, and that's just something that has
So now
perpetuated
that's
over
what
the
this is,
years.
to change that law? Is to change it and take that away? This
Not-
is to clean it
We're not
up?
changing any laws. I've identified some of the challenges with maintaining MV by putting MV.
and I think,
Okay, yeah, let's let,
I
Heather.
just want to make one
Heather,
comment
Heather.
before we move on, and I don't want to get us getting confused on, not that we aren't already confused, but we're talking about the membership on the Technical Advisory Committee, not the TPO. So the
And that's
TPO
correct.
membership would be discussed under a separate item.
When the census numbers come out, that's. when it
Exactly,
gets-
and then we'll be talking about it again once they're released.
Okay,
So, but this is strictly for the Technical Advisory Committee, but I get what you're saying, and I'm gonna be quiet.
and thank you for that clarification. I understand now.
Oh,
I
we're
got
good.
it.
We're good.
Oh, you'd
got
like to
it.
hear from Heather.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. Just as a little bit of a historical perspective, if my memory is correct, and that's not always an accurate statement, but at the time that the county went into the transit business per se, Council on Aging, which at that time was run by Pat and Ed Scarlett, already was operating a local transit, obviously small-scale transit business, and they were very much involved in that process when the county started the transit operation. So at that time, it made sense to include them on all the relevant boards with regard to transit. So I believe that's why they're specifically named. There really wasn't anyone else. So at that time, that's why I believe, if my memory is correct, why they were included on the TAC and then the other boards as well. But this board is a little bit, as you were mentioning, the TPO, the process for establishing the membership is much more controlled by statute and the census, and it has to be approved by the governor and cabinet if there's any changes, et cetera. So that's going to be a whole different process that you'll look at once those census numbers come out. But I think the board has the ability to establish what they want on this. And what Peter and the staff did was look at what the administrative code addresses for the LCB and sort of pull from that language. As he said, they consulted with the TD Commission with regard to the LCB membership, and that was the recommendation that we got. And I believe there have been some changes in the delineation of the membership over the years. Obviously, these committees have existed for 20-plus years, so there have been some changes. So that's why we're bringing it to you today. And I could be wrong, but to the best of my knowledge, when this has been discussed with MV in the past, they really weren't interested as a more corporate provider, if you will, in having a membership. Certainly staff would be consulting with them on operational matters and so forth. So we will receive their input in that way.
I think it was the confusion over and I had the same confusion when I went over the packet of the TPO membership versus the Technical Advisory Committee.
Yes.
So,
And all I want is I want community transit to have a seat at the table, because they should. But I think that MV should be afforded the same thing, and that's for another conversation, not for this. Got it.
okay, we're good.
It's all
So
good.
he does not need a motion, he's just gonna take the comments. Are there any more? Any additions?
All I can tell you is this conversation, if you haven't taken the acronym course, you should, because
I was thinking the same thing, for the public's sake
Because the
alone, we
public's
really
sake.
need to
Well,
not use
you noticed that
acronyms.
I said Technical Advisory Committee, I didn't say TAC,
Or 10.
or TIC, or TOE.
okay. and we're
Okay,
moving on.
all right, we're moving on. Are you clear, or clear as mud there, Peter, with that?
Well, initially, I guess were objections, but those objections have been resolved
Yes.
and withdrawn?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and moving on to, I was gonna figure out if I was gonna say FDOT or not, but I guess everybody does know the Florida Department of Transportation comments. Any
Madam Chair,
questions,
they
because
have
they're
no,
here.
they have no comments, but I would like to give kudos out to them, so please pass the message to everybody down at District 4. Thank you. I know there's light there at my famous Midway and Okeechobee Road is moving along and should be in before the end of this year. My understanding, they're keeping me up to date on almost a weekly to monthly basis. And the sooner the better. We had another horrible accident out there again with injuries just this past weekend.
Just now.
Yes, it is.
Never end.
It's coming, and not soon enough, but at least it is, coming, and if we could get rid of that bridge to nowhere, that would be happy too. But anyway, recommendations or comments by members?
Can we get into talk about our TCTC meeting that we had with, the other counties? Is this appropriate now?
You know, before we even have that conversation, I just want to say, when we talk about history and institutional knowledge, I will tell you that Jack Kelly shined a shining light of being able to have the history of what was going on years ago. And so I just want to give you kudos for your involvement, your history, your knowledge, and your memory, and the fact that we went in there and we had a spirited discussion, as once was said in our midst at the county level. But good,
Yeah,
Jack.
you pretty much led the charge though, but, after we had this meeting, well, let me put it this way, Martin County came in, and we won't name anybody, but the young lady that, represents them, I don't know what her title would be, planner, I don't know, but she's been there forever. She came in, basically, we were looking at an item, we were trying to split, we wanted our 50 or 60%, which we should get. We went, and that wasn't our first thing, I wrote up two reasons why. Number one was because the projects that we were talking about, or the project that we were talking about, was in the top 10 of what we had discussed years ago and recently and in the ancient past and now. And they had an item that they wanted done that was like number 106 or something. And that was our first thing that we were talking about. Second was the population. I mean, we pay 55%, 60% of the taxes from our county. You know, we're big, you know, and that was but that first one was the big one. That particular project, basically, as Peter said, was a lie from Martin County. And the more I thought about it after I got home, I don't know about you, Chris, I thought about it more and more. He has an answer to this. It's just fortunate that we have this guy. I will echo what Shannon Martin said about Peter having the history is really him. He's the one that found the history. I remembered it going back. It was quite a while ago, but I did remember because there was a lot going on at the time. But you actually found the statements. The project that they were talking about was actually not approved. Commissioner Smith made the motion from their county not to approve it. I made the second not to, and it was voted on. And we won't get into what it was, but it was basically a lie. And I'm getting ahead of myself, but
Well,
Peter,
let's talk about it.
Peter-
Southwest Village, they talked about the interchange, and they wanted it to
Right.
be in, and Commissioner Smith wanted it as in the model, but it was never on a plan. They
Never.
said that we took it out of the plan. We didn't take it out of the plan.
We
It was
did
never
not.
in the plan.
We did not.
So I just
And
wanted to
we had
clarify.
all the evidence, and Peter found it. He's the one that found the meeting and everything. But after we got there, we didn't get what we wanted, and we should have. And you mentioned the fact about the reason that they didn't get that project last year, and I wasn't there, was that Martin County didn't want to put up the extra money for the project like Port St. Lucie is putting up the money for the project that we wanted the money for on our list. And it just, what happened, it got acrimonious. They should have apologized. Peter said he should have got an apology, and he should have. They never did. It went along, and the vote went the wrong way. We voted the opposite way. But then again, what can we do about it? Well, there is something we can do about it. Peter, would you tell them what your idea was? Not your idea, but what we can do about it? Because we got treated unfairly. And the more I thought about it, I get upset. But we didn't show, there was acrimony, but we were I thought we were pretty good about how we acted. But what do we do now? If we don't get treated fairly to our people to the north and south, what can we do about it? Tell them, Peter.
Madam Vice Chair, the only reason the Treasure Coast Transportation Council exists is because of the St. Lucie TPO. Because without the St. Lucie TPO, you cannot have a Treasure Coast Transportation Council. You have to have two contiguous MPOs to form such a group in order to apply for this TRIP funding. And the project that we're applying for was Port St. Lucie Boulevard from Becker to Parr. And highly ranked project. It's in the regional plan, top 10. We still got making sure all our T's are crossed and I's dotted. And the TCTC board voted 4-2, with the Indian River representatives and Martin representatives voting to give 40% of the money to Martin and only 40 to St. Lucie, with 20 being received by Indian River. So, I mean, the other thing, should this board can feel that they're not getting a fair, and again, the only reason Martin County gets a SU dollars, a federal Surface Transportation Block Grant dollars, is because it's part of the Port St. Lucie Transportation Management Area, because we're over 200,000 people. If Martin County did not exist, we would still get the money. If we don't exist, they would not get the money. So every day I feel that they should wake up in the morning and thank all of you for that. But besides that being said,
We tried to tell them that too, but.
What they can, and remember how you fought also. Remember in the past, some of the, Commissioner Hutchison may remember, we used to have joint meetings with them.
That's where.
Right, that's where it all
I know
started.
exactly what.
Yeah.
There's more history there, right there, than.
And
here.
remember, Mr. Kelly used to go to the MPO board meetings at Martin
Everyone.
and participate, hear the issues and work through these issues and bring it back to us. Well, Martin withdrew from our interlocal agreement because they wanted the TCTC to be the governing body for regional funds, which puts you at a disadvantage because each of us just have 2 votes, yet we're twice the size of them. So there's no longer that coordination because of Martin County has withdrawn from that. In fact, they've withdrawn from every single regional effort, be it the original Treasure Coast Connector down into Martin County. Remember the RTO? We had the RTO. Every single regional effort. We used to do a regional long-range plan together. We used to do a regional transit plan together. That's all been withdrawn. So that being said, if this board is desirous, doesn't feel they're getting their fair shake for the TC, we have other options. We can join with the Heartland Regional MPO, which includes Okeechobee County all the way up because we're contiguous. We could look at applying for CHIP funding with them. We could form an organization, and we could also pull Indian River back in if we wanted to. So we do have options if we continue to feel that this board continues to feel that it's not receiving its fair share of regional funding.
You want to tell them what the option is, sir?
We'll withdraw from the TCTC.
And what will we do with Okeechobee? You want to tell them?
We form our own regional transportation management authority, which is called area, regional transportation, that by statute would allow us to pursue
Oh,
TRIP
would they
funding.
be willing to do that? They were on Career Source here and they pulled out and went to Heartland.
Well, Heartland, we would merge with Heartland, so that they don't currently,
They have
they're
to
not
accept
pursuing it
this,
with anybody. They would have to accept it, but they're not pursuing it with any funding right now, so they don't have that opportunity. They have nobody to partner with.
Okeechobee would partner with us. They want to.
So
They
I-
actually are trying to make their county Treasure Coast.
Absolutely. We've always had,
Yes,
always,
they
and
are.
we do
They are.
now,
They're trying
because
to
I've
partner
talked to
with
them. We have property, we know. In Okeechobee, we have good relationships with both Okeechobee Council and the commissioners there. And if Martin County doesn't give us a fair shake, and I don't know if it bothered you after, but the more I thought about it, I thought it really should be, I didn't want to open up a can of worms, but the board should know about this. They don't want to give us the money that we should be getting. I mean,
Well, another thing.
represented 65% of the people that are paying taxes.
If I may recall one last item too, remind the board of the generosity it had 5 years ago, which despite us having 68% of the population compared to 62%, and before we were receiving just 62 to 30, this board decided to compromise, just go 65-35. And then we had to go again and ask for 68-32. We were just asking to have what our population, how they divide up the formula funding at the federal level. Just give us the population. We're not asking for more than that, 70-30, and yet it seems to be such a challenge to receive that. So
And the argument was about moving people. We have the most people. We're
Right.
trying to move people. That was part, oh, well, you come down and shop in our county. Well, you're welcome to, the
Tax
sales
dollars.
tax money.
Right.
You know?
Can I ask a question before we go? And I know you want to do something, but I want to be able to understand, and I think if we want to pursue it, I would like the opportunity to at least have the rest of the board have some background, along with, the documented background, along with what repercussions, for every pro, there's going to be a con.
Sure.
And that would be, has there been any discussions, and I know there hasn't to date, with joining Heartland? Does it hurt us in any way if we were to make those moves?
Well, that's,
With
me, I
the-
didn't want to.
With the
We have to
district?
explore
I
that.
just wanted
That's
to
what I'm
introduce
saying,
it,
that's,
let you think about it, and you know darn well, that you
I
know,
know it.
we don't get our fair share, and like Peter just said, we could have asked for 65, 68, we didn't. And I thought we made our case, and I don't understand why Indian River went the other way, but they did. They've got their own problems up there at one of their towns right now, maybe, I don't know. But we didn't get it, and it's not fair. And I think we represent this board. You put us to go up there, and we did the best we could. Peter did a wonderful job, and to be basically called a liar, and he should have gotten an apology. He didn't get it. And Shannon, you're right. This guy's the best thing we have going for us. But it's something to think about because we don't need him. And I can't believe that we started that RTO back then. They wanted the RTO, and explain to them what the regional.
Regional Transit, to trying to have that board, we talk about representing that because transit, people want to travel across county lines. So it was an organization that would, in the beginning, provide recommendations for the 3 counties on transit, but eventually be like the South Florida RTA, kind of Maryland, but for the Treasure Coast, that type of an organization we want to expand.
And that group back then, those commissioners wanted that RTO as bad as we did. I sat with them every meeting for 12 years, and they wanted it as much as we did. And now they don't want it anymore. The council doesn't, you don't send anybody down there to any of their meetings. We don't have a representative anymore. I asked them about that. They said, we didn't know about this. We didn't know. I said, yeah, because you don't have any, anybody coming back and forth. We don't give information to each other anymore because you decided not to do it. And there was no response, right, Chris?
Yep.
We had no response. So it's not that we offered it, and that RTO was a big thing that they wanted, and I when I found out we didn't have that anymore, I was very surprised. But it's just the way to go, guys and folks, and I just want you to know about it. We don't need them. We don't
Well,
need them.
from what I'm hearing, in order for us to discuss it further, we really need the background,
Right.
as Commissioner
right.
Hutchinson just said. So Is that something that we want to pursue of going ahead to get the background and then putting this on a future agenda to discuss further?
That's what I'm asking.
I'm for that.
I'm for
Yep.
that.
I would
Is
feel
there-
more comfortable
I
understanding the
would
background.
love, well, I like to do my homework and get the history and the knowledge, but if we go ahead and pursue that, is there anybody opposed to that idea?
But
Okay,
it's exploring.
exploring, we're in the exploratory mode.
There you go.
So, information, background.
How's that, Franny? Exploratory.
Exactly, along with consequences, pro and
Yep,
cons.
pros and cons.
All the backup.
Okay.
Thank you. Anything else? I don't call for a meeting to adjourn,
No,
unless
yeah.
you have anything else?
Yes, please. Couple fun things. Okay,
Oh.
so last week, I participated in the last design meeting for the State Route A1A North Causeway Bridge replacement, which culminated almost 7 years of involvement in the project, starting with the.
How many years?
7 years. You can see on the screen. I
That's
attended the
fast.
very first PD&E meeting, Project Development
Oh,
and Environment meeting in August of 2014, culminating in last week's final design meeting. The design is now complete and the project will be let later this year, with construction starting after the first of next year. With an estimated cost of $84 million, it will be the tallest bridge on the east coast of Florida, south of Jacksonville. It'll incorporate all the local needs, including a flyover of the FEC Railroad, the extension of Juanita Avenue and Sunny Lane, extension of the East Coast Greenway Sun Trail with a multi-use path, and an observation deck. So it's going to be a great bridge for all the TPO area. And later this week, on Friday, 10 of my colleagues from MPOs around the state will be here in the boardroom to meet as the Florida MPO Advisory Council Policy and Technical Committee to discuss the vision and future direction of that organization and discuss how to fill the vacant executive director position with an individual that could lead the organization in the direction toward that vision and fulfill its mission. And in July, the Florida's Turnpike Enterprise will conduct the public hearing for the Project Development Environment Study for the Turnpike project, widening the Turnpike from Jupiter to Fort Pierce. It's going to be held at the Indian River State College Schreiber Center on July 22nd from 5:30 to 7:30. And there will be opportunities to participate both in person and remotely from the comfort of your home. So save the date and be on the lookout for the notice of those opportunities.
And will this include the interchange there at Midway Road?
Yes, it will.
Thank you.
The tight urban diamond interchange that this board endorsed.
yes.
So, finally, I would like to thank, you saw her, she appeared just a little while ago, our attorney Heather Young, who's retiring in July, so this is her last meeting. And, she was a joy to work with. I really learned a lot from her, and I appreciate all of her support. And I want to wish her the good luck in all her future endeavors. You will be missed, Heather. Thank you.
You will be missed.
And with that, we look forward to seeing everybody in August.
All right, any more business? Meeting adjourned.